From Cali to Tally, it's time to wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source, and this is Wake Up War Chant. Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hudjavandi and Corey Clark.
Winston, Benjamin again, inside the 30, breaks a tackle. Benjamin inside the 15. Benjamin is in, touchdown FSU.
First down throw, it is picked off. Picked off by Terrence Smith, who's headed the other way.
McGuire throws back against his body, touchdown. Caught by Jeremy Kerr, backup tight end.
And going down is Appleby. DeMarcus Walker does it again.
Blackman to the air on 3rd and long, into the end zone, touchdown Florida State. Naquan Murray.
We've been guilted into working more than we probably should. You're welcome, everybody. I'm Aslan. Corey's here as well. It's Wake Up War Chant. Corey, I'm not even going to pretend like, hey, how's your Thanksgiving? This show's going to run on a Friday, but it was recorded before Friday. But anyhow, how are you?
I'm sure my Thanksgiving was great, and I hope everybody listening to this had a wonderful Thanksgiving, a safe, happy holidays, and you're making your way down to Tallahassee for the big Sunshine. Showdown. What is it called? The Sunshine State Showdown, or the? Oh yeah. But that's not what it's even worse than that. But yeah, I hope you're making your way down for Florida State.
I got a little bit nervous because we got Renegade Express done earlier in the week, and then I saw somebody posted a comment question. I'm like, oh no, we forgot to get to it. But it's just a guy named TKO56. Been a member since 2017.
Okay.
Only posted 2 messages. He's from Windsor Heights, Iowa, and it just says, "You guys are the best. Love the show. Go Noles."
Thanks, man. We appreciate that.
Thanks, TKO. Rep it. All right. Do you want to make predictions now?
No.
Okay. All right. Let's. We got about a half dozen. We got about a 6-pack of questions. We got about a 6-pack of questions, I think. Let's go ahead and we'll rip it. This first one's 2 minutes and 21 seconds, but I think I listened to it a few days ago, and there's a point where I can stop it about a minute in. So I will do so. Corey, ready?
Yeah. Oh, you know I am, Aslan. Let's do this. Let's do this for the fans.
Hi, this is for Aslan and Corey. Wake Up War Chant. Andre called him out of Jacksonville. I had a sort of observation. I was confused. I hear Willie talk about, wanting to change the culture and change, the mindset of the players and getting to learn how to win. My thing is when you have James Blackman and he, if he's 1B and Francois 1A, what he comes in with, they praise him with being the best teammate. They praise Marvin Wilson with being one of the best teammates. They praise Tamari and Terry being one of the best teammates. But they are not the focal point of the team. It's like Marvin Wilson doesn't even start. Tamar and Terry up into the last 2 or 3 ball games only had 10 targets, 4 games. And Blackman, we all know the situation with the quarterback situation. So how can you say you're changing the culture when you don't even put the culture, the players that are put a focus point on the players that are showing the want to and the leadership needed into changing the culture.
All right. Thanks for the question, Andre in Jacksonville. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Marvin Wilson thing was a little bit bizarre. What was the one game where he didn't start and like they had to they once they finally did insert him into the lineup, it was like 1st and goal for the opposing team, and I was like, well, it might have been nice if Marvin Wilson was actually playing the first snap of the game.
Well, that was NC State,
was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's a fair / unfair question. We talk about it. We nitpick at it. Ultimately, I have confidence that these coaches are putting the right guys in that they think gives them the best chance of winning. why – I don't know why Torin Terry doesn't get more targets. I don't know. There's not a good explanation, but I'm sure at some point I really would like to sit down maybe 4 or 5 years down the road, and once Willie's got his first national title under his belt, and be like, that first year, man, a lot of weird things you guys kind of did. Why did you do it? At this point, I don't know. A lot of it doesn't make sense, but I mean, maybe it's because we don't have enough information.
I think the main question there, the best point of the three, because Terry has played like the whole season and plays almost every play, it seems like now. But in Marvin Wilson, I just looked it up. I'm looking it up right now. So he's played 500 total snaps this season, which is the most of any D lineman not named Brian Burns. He's played more than DeMarcus Christmas has played 423 snaps. Looks like Durden has played 324 snaps, and Frederick Jones has played 328. So he's played the most of all the defensive tackles. Harlan Barnett doesn't want those guys to play every play, which makes sense. I mean, you wouldn't want. I mean, defensive tackles can't play every down. Really, Brian Burns has played way too much. But so I don't really get caught up in who starts as much as he is playing a lot, and he's a big factor in the game. And when it matters late, you can bet 21 is always on the field. I don't know why he doesn't start. The other two guys are seniors, so maybe that's like a reward. But as it stands through the course of a game, Marvin Wilson is getting the most reps. So I don't think that that's really a culture issue because he's still playing a lot. The Blackman thing, I mean, yeah, we've talked about that a lot. I think that's a good point. If you think they're even, why wouldn't you play the kid that everybody loves, that's the great teammate, that you want to be like the face of your program, and you want the guys to emulate, whether maybe not on the field, you want them to emulate him as a teammate. I just think Willie Taggart thinks DeAndre Francois is a better quarterback. I think it could be that simple.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're right, man. The culture needs to change. I think one thing that we haven't talked about much is 89 hadn't seen the field a lot. 14 on defense hasn't seen the field a lot these last few games. They're going, especially Saturday, they're going with the young guys in which is good. That's a really good sign, man. That's a really good sign that he's like, you know what? I'd rather watch 20 than 89. I want him to start making plays and get ready because he's a guy I think is going to be a big time player, and he plays hard and he plays well. And so I think that's been a nice thing to see Keyshawn Helton and the AJ Samuel. I think that's been a nice sign that he hasn't just stuck with the older guys just because they're older guys. He has infused some youth and guys that he really likes into the lineup.
Who's AJ Samuel?
Who did I say? Who is it? How did I miss that up?
AJ Litton.
Is it AJ Litton?
Yeah.
I think Asante Samuel's name, you don't know this, but his middle name is Jack. So I call him AJ.
Gotcha.
Asante Jack is just a mouthful.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so my bad. Asante. I call him AJ. We should all probably call him AJ. There's enough initials on this team anyway. Let's just have one more.
All right. Next question.
Good morning, wake up guys. This is True Tar Heel Raider from Jacksonville, North Carolina. Corey, let me save you the trouble of looking me up, Wikipedia this. Our claim to fame is Dante Page Moss, played in the NFL for a while. Mario Williams is from a town about 10 minutes outside of Jacksonville called Richlands. I don't think there are any more famous people from Jacksonville, North Carolina. The biggest claim to fame is we are the second biggest amphibious base in the world. In the most military-friendly state in the Union, North Carolina. That's our claim to fame. And Aswan actually chuckled when you said go watch UNC basketball, champ. I appreciate that, man. It made my day a little bit better. It was cold this morning at 49 degrees. I was not very happy, and you made me laugh, man. So here's my question, though. Do you guys think that if UNC job comes open, do you think UNC should pursue Walt Bell? He's familiar with UNC and recruited very well for us. He recruited Mitch Trubisky to UNC. Do you think that UNC should go after Walt Bell, or do you think Walt Bell should have a couple more years of head coaching experience under his belt, i.e. go to a smaller school like Arkansas State? Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
He said that. He called me. He said that cried. Remember, he was the guy that said that cried. I didn't like that.
Yeah. That was funny. It was a funny, retort.
I didn't think it was funny at all.
Yeah, I think that'd be a very hard sell.
Yeah.
To a guy that's never been a head coach. It is until the last few games anyway, been an offensive coordinator, then call plays. I think Walt Bell is at least a half a decade away from getting a job like that.
I don't know. It all depends on if he made an impression on somebody of importance at that university, man. If somebody's like, I like that guy that controls, the purse strings there, like go after that guy. It could happen. I don't think it'll happen immediately, but I don't know about 5 years.
Chad Morris had one of the best offenses in the country. He revolutionized Clemson and got them to 12 wins and throwing the ball all around the lot and getting Sammy Watkins and people like that. And he had to go to SMU. Like North Carolina. The last guy they hired was the head coach at Southern Miss and had won a lot of games had a couple of good seasons there, right?
Oh yeah.
I think at North Carolina you don't get an offensive coordinator from Florida State unless he's the guy he's the dude. He's the one that's putting up 60 points a game and is turning things around. I don't know that Walt Bell's going to be that guy here because it's never really going to be viewed, I don't think, as his offense.
Right.
Well, so I think he's got Walt Bell's trajectory, in my opinion, would be number one, keep your job here.
Yeah.
And then if you have some success in the next few years, you go to like an Arkansas State or somewhere like that as a head coach, and then from there you go to a North Carolina.
Yeah, he's also from the same tree as Fedora. Blake Anderson, who's Walt Bell's closest confidant and mentor in football, was Larry Fedora's offensive coordinator at Southern Miss. A lot of people wanted to see him actually get promoted, but they went ahead and hired Ellis Johnson. And the rest out there is history. But I don't know. Maybe the fact that he does come from the same tree, that would be kind of an awkward bit of a hire. But I don't know. I don't know enough about really North Carolina football. I don't want to talk too much about it. It's not Wake Up Tar Heels. But I don't know if they think they're maybe above getting a guy from the MAC or the Sun Belt that's a head coach that's done well out there. They'd be. I bet you. I tell you, this would be a good guy to go after. Is my guy Troy? The guy from Troy. His name escapes me. Neil Brown. Neil Brown from Troy would be a really good guy to go after. That's a guy to go after.
Okay. All right. I see you. Work it.
Yeah. All right. Next question.
229, Booker 20.
That started in the middle of a question. Sorry about that. Let me get a hold of myself here. We'll start from the top. Next question.
As line, Corey, this is your boy, Rhino D, 72, the all-world Seminole Insider.
Do you know who Rhino D72 is? He's saying he's our boy. I don't remember. Do we know him?
I feel like everybody's our boy or our girl.
Right.
I think gal might be derogatory. I don't think they like being called gals.
They don't, yeah.
Women, if you're listening to this, I know we have some female listeners. I apologize. I don't know why gal. I don't call people gal. I don't know why that came out of my mouth.
He does.
But yeah, they're all our boys and girls.
All right.
You know that.
All right, let's pick it up.
I'm wondering why my boy at Knowles 229, Booker 20, and West Duval didn't show up for my Saturday night lick-off party. Carry on.
All right. Probably delete that.
Thanks, buddy. Do you not listen to these?
Dude, it's like 3 a.m, man. Get off my back.
No, I thought you read them. I thought you read them before you played them.
Well, the ones because these ones have come in lately. I haven't been able to look at these ones that have come in. I just see how long they run. That was like a 20. It said 23 seconds. I'm like 23 seconds. That's a piece of cake. I'll run 23 seconds. What's the worst?
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
Next question.
Hey guys, it's Drew from Tifton. Quick question for you guys. USA Today has Brian Burns going 5th overall. The draft is the only Florida State guy listed in the mock draft. Florida has several. Who else do you think could possibly go in the draft if they leave early? Appreciate it. Love the show. Go Knowles.
All right, represent. Thanks, Drew from Tifton. Appreciate it.
If Brian Burns goes 5th in the draft, I will do an entire week in just my underwear. Record the show in just my underwear.
But will you be in the Midtown offices recording in your underwear?
I guess for all you know, I'm in my underwear right now. That's not even I will sing a song each show. Like a legitimate song, like the chorus, the verses, all of it. I don't think people will really like that. So you better hope Brian Burns doesn't go 5th in the draft, but that's my promise to you. Maybe like I'll sing like an 80s one-hit wonder songs if Brian Burns goes 5th in the draft. I think Brian Burns will play in the NFL. He might even be drafted in the first few rounds, I guess. And everybody knows what I think of him. He's had a really good year, but man, he's 220. You got to have guys that can rush the passer, but I don't know that I don't think he's a top 5 pick.
Well, all right, well, who else? Who else is potentially? Levante was a guy that we thought was for sure gone.
That's it, man. Right? There's nobody else that you could honestly think would go. Is there?
Juwan Williams, he's draft eligible.
Sure. I'm looking up. I would have thought Tifton would have had more famous people from it. Like 2 of the people on the notable people are Todd Fordham, former Florida State offensive lineman, and Clay Shiver, former Florida State offensive lineman. Those are like and members of the alternative rock band September Haze.
Never heard of them.
I haven't either, and it's spelled Hase, Haze. Kip Moore, a country music singer. Yeah, man. I would have thought there had been John Barry, who's a musician. So not a lot of famous people from Tifton, Georgia, which is surprising. I thought there'd at least been a couple. I honestly can't think of. And if Levante Taylor's coming back, heavens to Betsy, you're gonna have like your whole team back.
Yeah. Drew called in again and forgot to ask, what's our favorite memory from the Florida game? Sounds like his was Rick's to PK Sam. We talked about it.
We already answered this.
Yeah. I just want to let him know that we saw his question. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. And not that we're too good to answer a question again, but we just answered it on the last show, and I think I had 4 answers.
Yeah.
Aslan's was when he was a typical Aslan, 21-year-old Aslan at the 2003 game.
Yeah, that was a good one. 2002 was really fun too, just because that season was so down in the dumps. I think that was a coin flip of a game too, and we came out and Leon Washington just put on a show.
Who had a good game in that game was Chris Ricks.
Oh yeah, Ricks stepped up against the Gators, man. He stepped up.
Yeah, he did. He did not do the same against. If you asked him the difference between Florida and Miami, he might have a different answer than DeAndre.
A little bit. All right, next question.
Hey guys, Jerk.
Oh, sorry. Oh man, I'm doing terrible tonight, man. Let's go ahead, rack it up.
Hey guys, Jerk from Claremont. Wake up. Question: what has happened to Trey McKitty? The beginning of the year is so hopeful. I mean, he seemed like he was going to be a beast, and then the offense was going to go through him a lot, and which was a good sign. And then nothing. It feels like he shows a glimpse here and there, and then just falls apart. A lot of drop balls. I know a lot of them have been bullets right at him at short range, but some of them are just inexcusable drops. Just wondering what he thinks is going on in his head, and is it coaching with him? Thanks. Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, thanks, Dirk.
Thanks, man. Yeah, he's been bad here recently. He has not been, he had the bad drop. He had the false start. I'm still not blaming him for the Notre Dame interception. He could have at least knocked it down, though. It's been, I still like his future. I like his potential, but you can tell he doesn't have nearly the confidence or vigor. He's just not playing well that he had earlier in the season. He hasn't really progressed as the season's gone on. I guess I could put it that way.
Yeah. I think I'll ask Willie that when we speak to Willie later here in the week. So you probably have heard, if you're a War Chant subscriber and you check everything out on warchant.com, hopefully I'll have asked Willie this question and got some sort of response out of him about it. Also a reminder, folks, subscribe to warchant.com. Use the promo code WARCHANT30 for a free 30-day trial. Also, our YouTube page, it's totally free to subscribe to it, and anytime this podcast hits YouTube or Corey and Ira do an awesome wrap-up from a Florida State football victory or basketball victory or whatever sport's going on victory, like you'll get an instant alert, and then you can watch it, and it's totally free. So subscribe. We're almost at 10,000. Get me to 10,000 so my boss will be happy.
Oh, good call, buddy. Good call.
Yeah. He's nice to me. Gene's a great guy. I'm not under pressure in L. Last question, Corey. I don't even think it's a question.
Hey, I wanted to ask you a little trivia question. I'm on the Pro Football Focus site.
Yeah.
Who do you think has the most penalties on the Florida State offense this year? What player?
Trey McKitty?
No, he's third with 6.
All right. Well,
he's tied for third.
I'll give you an honest answer then. Golly, you say Florida State's like one of the most penalized teams in the nation, but I feel like offensive line, really, there hasn't been a lot from them, I feel like.
Well, you'd be kind of wrong.
Yeah. Derek Kelly?
With 9.
Is that
9
bad?
penalties. It's not great. Jawan Williams has 7 in like a third of the snaps that Derek Kelly has. Less than half the snaps, he's got 7. Yeah. So you've got
Landon Dickerson wasn't trending well in that direction either, I don't feel like. Landon played 2 games and had like 4 or 5, I feel.
It looks like the offensive line is responsible for 39 penalties this year.
That's a bad number.
That's not great.
That's not. Yeah,
they could hold a little better. How about that, guys? Like, instead of the false starts, get some holding. Like, really do some stuff. Like, at least hold. They're not going to call it every time. Literally, the last play of Jawan Williams in the Boston College game, he bear hugged that kid.
They didn't call it.
They didn't call it. That's what I'm saying. So do that every snap.
All right, man. Here's the last one.
Hello, this is LA88. I'm just calling in reference to this morning's show regarding should you all do a show on Friday. That's the day before a game. I think you should. Just go ahead and record 2 shows as Mr. Aslan was suggesting. And we look forward to hearing from you guys Friday morning. All right. Thank you. Bye. Love the show. Bye.
All right. There you go. We did it.
Well, that was nice. And we took it under advisement.
Yeah.
As he's that was meta. Like we're doing the show as he's telling us to do the show.
Oh man! All right, let's talk quickly about Florida. I'm nervous that quarterback's going to be inserted into the lineup, Emory Jones, and I just don't know if Florida State's got packages ready to go to be able to defend him on the fly quickly if he gets thrown in there in the middle of a drive. The one thing I do feel good about is I don't know what happened to Dan Mullen. I really genuinely think, and I don't want to talk about back in my day, but that Egg Bowl was ugly. It ruined lives. I mean, it literally ruined people's lives. That Egg Bowl. I mean, guys lost their job. Teams are on probation. Kids have had to go testify under oath and in front of the NCAA in Indianapolis. It's been an ugly mess left behind from that game, and a lot of it was because of Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen, that brought out the worst in him. He played it up. He fanned the flames of that rivalry, and that's what I was kind of afraid of when he was going to come to Gainesville. I just thought that he might think that Florida State was on a downward spiral of sorts, and he could kind of take advantage of it. But he called us Florida State. He didn't call us a school out west. He almost made fun of Urban Meyer for even saying that. I think Pat Dooley, isn't that the longtime columnist of the Gainesville Sun?
Correct, yeah.
He even asked him, well, if you're not going to call them the school out west, what are you going to call them? And I listened to his press conference, and 9 minutes in, he just called us State. He didn't call us Florida State. He just said State. I'm like, oh, that's going to be his thing. There was a coach in Montana I covered who would not call Montana State Montana State. He said they don't deserve to have the title of Montana anywhere in their name. So I thought maybe Dan Mullen was going to do something like that. But later on, like around minute 20, he actually said Florida State. Then Pat Dooley said, well, if you're not going to call them the school out west, what are you going to call them? Like, ooh, you got to have some sort of snarky heel wrestling moment here. And Dan Mullen was like, I don't know. Didn't I just call them Florida State or the Seminoles? I mean, whatever. We'll call them whatever. So I don't know. I think maybe he's kind of lost a little bit of his edge, or maybe he's burnt it out against Tennessee and in Georgia. That he maybe won't be as imposing as I thought he was going to be in this rivalry game. So that's the good and the bad I feel for the game. What's your good and your bad, Corey? Wipe it all out. Make it come out in the wash.
Well, it doesn't have anything to do with that. Is that a bad or a good? Isn't that good that he's not?
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm worried about Emory Jones. I think that he's got
Well, that's
one game.
a weird thing because he hasn't played a lot, has he?
He was like 12 of 14 for 140 and 2 touchdowns against Idaho. Now, granted, it's Idaho.
He's played, I just looked it up. So he's played 54 plays this year.
Okay. Break it down.
Looks like he is what's weird is his grade for running on PFF is only a 44.6.
Okay.
Which you would think would be much, obviously much higher than that. Felipe Franks is higher than that.
Ooh.
So I know, but I know that's a very small sample size. Yeah. But what I did see is their offensive line is better than Florida State's.
Okay.
They do have a couple guys that grade in the 50s, but they also have a guy that's 80. 80.5, Jawan Taylor. He's an 80.5, and people that you don't know these numbers, obviously, but they have an 80.5, a 73.9, and a 70.4. I believe Florida State's highest grade is a 56. So
Ouch.
Just to give you a little perspective there.
Ouch.
But again, that's why I'm saying it's just hard to judge anything they're doing. I'm going to look it up right now. I'm going to find their highest graded. Let's see. Cole Minshew, 63.4. That doesn't count. So Mike Arnold, of the guys that are playing, Mike Arnold is a 61.6. That's your highest graded offensive lineman. So, for this game, man, it's not complicated. They're not good. Florida's offense isn't great. Felipe Franks isn't great. If you just play solid,
they've put
and not
points
dumb
on some good defense. I mean, they've put 20 plus on LSU. They put 20 plus on Georgia. Man, I don't know. That might be enough to beat Florida State on Saturday.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, yeah, it could be. Florida's defense isn't the Florida defenses of recent years. Like, even when they were not great, they still were always a challenge for Florida State to move the ball on consistently. I know the 27-2 game, it was 7-2 or 14-2 in the fourth quarter. They haven't really always moved up and down the field against this deep, but I don't think this defense is very good. Obviously, this Florida State offense isn't very good. You would think 24 points would be enough, because I do think that, Florida State at home, if they're stopping the run and making that kid beat them, I don't know that he can do it. If he can do it, he can do it. I mean, I just think you have an advantage at quarterback, and in my opinion, it's a pretty decided advantage. They have an advantage at other spots, but they're not worlds better than you. This isn't Clemson rolling in here. Their defensive line isn't incredible. They have a couple good rush-ins, but their defensive line isn't incredible, and they don't have incredible skill players with a future number one pick at quarterback. This is a better matchup. If you can stop the run on them like you stopped the run against Clemson even, I don't think this kid can Trevor Lawrence you and pick you apart. And I don't think their defensive line will just completely overwhelm you. I could be wrong. I've been wrong once in my life before, so it has happened. But is long again. Just don't give them the ball at your 10. Don't punt. Don't have a 28-yard punt. Don't punt a line drive right down the middle of the field that's returned to return to the 50. Don't let them return a kickoff to midfield. Don't start your drive at the 8. Somehow, some way, try to win a field position battle for maybe the first time this year. If you can do that and you can win or stay even with the turnover battle, you'll win the game. It's there's kind of some pressure on Florida, man, right?
I don't know.
They've lost 5 in a row.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? They've lost 5 in a row to this rivalry. They're 8-3. There's people talking about them going to a New Year's 6 game. All they got to do is beat 5-6 sorry ass Florida State. I'm saying that in their fans' minds. This is if they can't beat them this year, then when is it out? That's kind of the thought you could have. So, there's some pressure that comes with that. And you have Felipe Franks handling that kind of pressure. Maybe he found something in that South Carolina game and he's playing with a lot more confidence. That could be, sure. But, I just, it's a lot to ask that kid to beat you with his right arm. And if you make him do it and he beats you, then good for him. Good for Florida. You finally broke the streak. But there's some pressure on them, man, and they're not a great football team.
It's crazy that you brought up a game in which Florida State allowed 50 points, and that I actually think that's a good thing. It makes me feel a little bit better about it. For however maligned this run defense was, it was really only 2 games. It was NC State and Notre Dame. Otherwise, run defense has been pretty good. And like you said, they slowed Clemson down by and large, and then, things happened in that game that, they might have quit or they might have not worked as hard. So I get it, but yeah, they kept Travis Etienne in under wraps. So why can't they keep, LaMichael Pirine and Jordan Scarlett?
And there's more on the line,
guys.
right? Like,
yeah.
I don't think. I'm sure they all thought they had a chance. You would hope that everybody at Florida State goes into a game thinking they're going to win, but they're also realists, and they know they can win this game, and they know what's on the line too. And I do think they're going to answer the call as far as energy and aggression and playing hard. I really do think they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to back down. I don't think the moment's going to be too big where they panic, because they've already done it once. In fact, they already did it last year. They've been in this exact same spot, because this is where Florida State is now. They were in this exact same spot last year where they had to beat Florida to keep their bowl streak alive, and they handled it fine. Now that was a worse Florida team with no coach. Now they've got a pretty good coach and they're better, but still, Florida State. These Florida State players are now, whatever they are, they're 3-0 in games where their bowl streak is on the line, or 4-0, I guess. What is that? I mean, you can count Delaware State, I guess, but they've handled this pressure before, so I don't think the streak will be too much. I just think they can't play dumb. The whole Clemson game turned on a field goal block attempt. They still weren't going to win that game, but it devolved after that. And then that's a special teams mistake. Don't do that. Don't give them points. You gave Clemson 4 points. Don't do it. Don't give Florida any points. If they go earn 24 points, great. Don't let them block a punt. Don't give them points with special teams, and just play solid. Like even in the Boston College game, you had 2 horrible interceptions. But their quarterback was bad enough that he gave it to you right back. Maybe that happens again, but if DeAndre doesn't turn those balls over, then they probably win by 8 or 10 points. And I know it's a broken record, man, but neither one of these teams is good enough to survive getting destroyed on the turnover battle or in special teams.
You mentioned on a show previously in the week about the outcome of this game doesn't change the long-term trajectory of Willie Taggart or the direction of this program to a large degree, which I agree, but it still doesn't mean that this game desperately needs to be won just in the interim, in the short term, to keep things going smoothly. But you talked about, you think they're going to answer the bell in terms of aggression, intensity, things like that. To your macro point, though, isn't that a big thing to want to see that? Aren't these the little things that you do want to see? I know you said if they go and beat Florida 37-7, that makes you feel a lot different than if they squeak by them 24-21 or what have you. But if it's going to be a hard-fought game where you can't make mistakes, the team that makes the less mistakes is going to be the team that wins. And Florida State happens to be on the right side of that and does play with a good amount of aggression and tackles well and shows you the things that you want to see. Won't that give you a different sort of maybe feeling of where the program is headed, or are you still firm in your conviction?
No, no, absolutely. I think for that reason the Boston College game was a big deal. Whether Adazio was dumb enough to punt or not, the fact that they did what they did to A.J. Dillon and they played like that defensively, and quite frankly on the offensive line they opened up some holes. I think those were all positive signs, regardless of the result. I think, especially because of what had they been through the last 3 weeks. Man, there are some teams that we've seen all around the country that would have just flat out folded. You've lost 3 in a row where you've been embarrassed, and now you got this team and this dude to try to tackle. Like that could have been enough. When you don't want to, you're like, man, I'm mailing this in.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be any fun. This is no, I don't want any part of this. And, there was a part of me that thought that Boston College might run for 400 yards. But they didn't. Florida State bowed up and answered it, man. They answered it. That at least proves to you something. That doesn't mean it's a great team by any means, but maybe there's a chance that mindset is there, that it's there. I never really thought last year's team got a chance. They didn't have a game quite like that to see kind of what they were made of, because right after they went 3-6, it was Delaware State, and then it was a really bad Florida team, which, again, it was a big win because it kept the bowl streak alive, but it wasn't – that Florida team wasn't nearly as good as even this Boston College team they just beat. But the game after the Boston College game, I believe, was Delaware State. I might have that wrong. I can't remember exactly how that worked. But I think that this team, to come off 3 blowout losses, to play that team where it's like, man, if you're not in it, if you're not there ready to compete and play hard and bust your ass, they will put 400 yards on you, and they'll have the ball for 40 minutes. And that kid will run for 220 yards. But they were there and competing. No matter what happens, yeah, that was a positive sign, I think. And same thing, yeah. If they come out and play hard and bust their ass and lose one way or the other on a last-second field goal or win on a last-second field goal, I think that's positive moving forward. That, okay, at least you got something cleaned up because now they're playing hard.
It was Syracuse the week after Boston College last year.
And they won that game in the final minutes. That's right.
And then Clemson.
Yeah, so that was a nice rally.
Yeah.
So they got to Boston College, made them 3-6, right?
Yes.
And then they won their last
3 and
4.
5.
Well, 2 of them were actually over.
3 and 5.
I know Syracuse and Florida weren't good.
They lost to Clemson the week after Syracuse. Boston College dropped into 3 and 5.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. So yeah, I thought weirdly, I thought the Clemson game last year for that particular team.
2 and 5. They were 2 and 5 after Boston College.
You're killing me. I can't talk anymore. You're all you do is give me the wrong information.
I know.
What are you looking at that you keep getting the record wrong?
Wikipedia.
Oh boy, you didn't go to Knoll Fan?
They're not paying me, man. They stopped sending us the checks.
Well, neither is Wikipedia.
I'm kidding. I already had 14 up, and all I had to do was go to the address bar and change the 4 to a 7 in 2014 to 2017. It's got it highlighted right there.
Okay. All right. Well, either way, my point is ruined. It's been derailed. I was talking way too much anyway. I apologize. I'm just trying to fill so people can
My last thought,
start drinking.
Here's something that probably won't come to fruition, but something maybe keep an eye on. They have a really good defensive back, a really good cornerback, C.J. Henderson. I think, obviously, quick start is a very important thing. They've got to get Tamorian going early. I think if Tamorian go early and they see their number one cornerback struggling with Tamorian, I think that touchdown Terry.
Tamorian.
I think that has a residual sort of collateral effect on the rest of that defense. If they see their number one guy can't hang with Terry, other guys get nervous about having to worry about him, then I think maybe the run game opens up a little bit more. And then I think the whole pass the throw thing was something we talked about after we saw how bad things are going to be after the Syracuse game. I think maybe that's where maybe it starts finally, week 13, game 12. Get him going quickly, and then everything else pivots off of that.
All right, I see you working. It looks like they got a couple of good ones.
Yeah,
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
Chauncey Gardner, that's what we all knew him as previously. He tacked on the
He hyphenated it up. He Angola Rotased it up.
Yeah.
He's 83.2 grade, which is a good cover grade, and then C.J. Henderson is 82.4.
Yeah.
They also got a safety, Brad Stewart, who is a 90.5 in coverage. Those are really good grades, by the way, just so people that are wondering.
So, Nooney, go get paid, man. This could be the last one. Go get paid, open things up for Terry, and then I think Cam just runs angry. DeAndre keeps it a few times, a few design runs. Florida State wins 27-24.
Yeah, hey, man. Your mouth to the football god's ears, buddy.
All right. We're done. I'm done, Corey. I think we've done plenty this week.
Yeah.
I'm going to sleep fine, whatever I have left to sleep. All right?
Great. You know I love you. You know I love everyone. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. And win or lose. Yeah, I was thinking about it. So were you alive the last time they didn't have a winning season?
Nope.
You couldn't have been. Were you alive when they didn't make a bowl?
I'm 36. I was born August 82.
You were born August of 82.
Yeah.
So every year of your life, and you're not young. I'm not saying you're old, but you're not young. Every year of your life, they've been in a bowl.
Yeah.
Again, I just want people to, no matter what happens,
It's important to me, man.
That's an incredible streak. That's just not because that's just hard. Look around the country, man. Oklahoma one year went 3-9. Oklahoma had down years. Alabama had down decade. USC's been good for like 8 years in the last 40. For Florida's 2 of the last 5 years they haven't been to a bowl. Miami, Miami's Miami. It's been a really remarkable win or lose. It'd be better for everyone involved in War Chant and Wake Up War Chant and the people that cover Florida State for Florida State to win. But win or lose, man, what a remarkable run. Really, just an incredible run starting back in, for the winning season back in 1977. Because it's not a birthright to cheer for a team that's always good. So congratulations, Florida State fans, for all of your life. Anybody listening to this show, either for the last 40 years of your life or for all of your life, you've gotten to cheer for a team that always plays in a bowl and always has a winning season. And now for a couple of years, we've had to see how the other half lives, and it ain't a lot of fun. So get back to winning games, Willie. Let's go.
No matter what, we'll never have to suffer the indignity of being 4-8.
Ever. Ever.
Florida is a scourge on everything that this world is great at. May they endure horrible failure in all endeavors involving athletics from this point forward. But if they were not to on Saturday, don't listen Monday, because if you listen Monday and I'm angry and you criticize me for it, I will find you and I will call you a dum-dum. Don't be a
those
dum-dum.
are fighting words.
For Corey, I'm Aslan. Go Noles.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.